From Living Wisely, Living Well for today, July 29th. When others project disharmony toward you, send them in return from your heart rays of kindness and harmony. The more consciously you send these thoughts out in blessing, the more others will change. In time, they too will project only harmony. So, this statement of Swamiji's opens up so many vistas, and we can only touch on them lightly here, and perhaps they can be food for meditation and contemplation and introspection on our own reactions. You see, why say it at all? When others project disharmony towards you, send them in return your harmony and kindness. Why even mention it? Well, because for some of us it's a novel thought. If somebody projects disharmony, I know exactly what to say back to them. You see, our instinct can be either, for example, when attacked, fight or flight. Either to just run out of the room or to get out of the way of the bullets and then just sit there and brood about it, or to just hit back. And oh, what about you? As Swamiji said, hotly demanding to the other person, that they account for all of their sins as well. And thus the argument continues. And so first of all, what an unusual reaction. We might also say, well, maybe when I'm a saint I can do that, or maybe the saints can do that, or maybe Swami Kriyananda can do that, but it's beyond me. Well, somebody put that comment to him in a different form when he released, or when he was singing some of his songs that he had written in the early years. Someone came up to him afterwards and said, well, you can sing happy songs, you've never suffered. And Swamiji said, it's because I've suffered that I have the right to sing happy songs and to create happy songs. And in fact, it was true. He went through this very testing experience where he faced not only disharmony from others, but outright rejection from them, and not just some random collection of others, but those he held nearest and dearest to his heart. And he reflected amidst his own hurt, as he said, that if I were to retaliate in anger and in disharmony, I would just hurt twice. I'm already hurt because of what they've projected towards me, and I would be hurt a second time if I just allowed that negativity, that anger, that vengefulness to run through my heart. He says in another one of these sayings from Living Wisely, Living Well, why let yourself seethe in the cauldron of anger, your own anger? He said, you're the one being cooked. You see? And so really we see the deeper reason for why we should project harmony towards others in response to their disharmony, not because the saints will applaud us for following the rules through grim determination, and not for any other reason, or perhaps the best reason of all, is that it helps us. First of all, it helps us not to run, or at least not to exaggerate or prolong the hurt any more than is needed. It's almost as if someone shouts a short word at you in anger. It's like throwing us a hot potato. And instead of immediately tossing back the hot potato or dropping it, we hold on to it. Yeah, I can't believe you said that, and after all I've done, and you would think that at least... And so we're allowing the hot potato to burn us more and more and more, instead of going, it's your potato, not my potato. If somebody is acting that way towards us, it shows their lack of patience. Maybe they're under a lot of pressure or stress, or maybe they just aren't mature enough. Sometimes it's up to us to be the big kid, to be the one who knows better, to be the one, the elder sibling, to behave in the right way, even if someone else has not behaved in the right way. But most of all, because it's a protection for us. Not only, as I said, does it spare us the extra scalding of the hot aloo, but also when you put out positive energy towards somebody, when you are putting it out, It is the greatest protection of all. It basically increases the strength of your magnetic field. It makes sure that that polarity of your magnetic field is positive. In other words, when we're concerned about energy coming at us, the greatest protection is not to watch carefully to see where the next hit is going to come from, because that puts us automatically in receiving mode. And what is a much greater protection is to strongly, positively radiate kindness, goodwill, and so on, as sincerely as we can. In other words, we may not be able to say, I am so grateful for all of your nasty comments that happened before breakfast. Thank you very much. And don't mind me while I put something in your coffee. Oops, I thought that was sugar. No, I'm joking. Not quite that, but reminds me of a famous statement between two Hollywood people long ago. One woman said to the man, I forget their names, but she said, if you were my husband, I'd poison your coffee. And he said, if you were my wife, I'd drink it. So anyway, leaving that's not a helpful teaching in this case. But for us to say, Divine Mother, I can't fully be grateful for the way this person is behaving, but I know you see them in their whole picture. You see whatever hurts they've received that have made them act this way. You see the situation fairly to know that I did not deserve this. As Master said, some people are just like a hyena or a tiger that jumps on you the minute you talk. And that's not fair. So God sees that perhaps these sharp words were not deserved that were issued your way. But also, God sees when this person is going to grow and heal and ultimately become a saint. God knows that day, whenever it is, perhaps far in the future. But God sees that that person will be liberated and a free soul. And so taken from that view, we can say, okay, God, you bless them. I can't quite say it fully sincerely, but I can ask you and you can do it. In other words, we want to be authentic. We don't want to be fake about it. But again, when we even have, for example, hurt in reaction to something that comes at us, remember that often too, that can be the result of, I'm checking the time, I'm not looking at messages or getting little cues of what to say next. Meanwhile, there's a clock right here. When we, what was I even saying? When we are hurt in response to what someone says, often that can also be not just because of what happened in the moment, but because of what happened in the past. Maybe this person has a habit of criticizing us to the point that we're almost ready for it, tensed up, keyed up every time we see them. And on the one hand, we can understand the logic of that, and yet that one statement that they're saying is tacked onto it is 99 previous statements. So all of the feelings come out on this one moment, including all past debts or past hurts as well. And so it's amplified. And so it can be helpful for us to say, well, we can't stop the person now from saying what they're about to say, or we can't undo what they just said, but maybe we can at least address some of the hurt from the past. Maybe again, I'm still holding on to this potato. I'm holding on to last month's potato. Maybe it's time I see ways in which I can put it down. But again, to be sincere in this, not to just say I shouldn't hold a grudge. If that works, fine. But not to do a spiritual bypass and say, yogis don't hang on to things, I am a yogi, therefore I hang on to nothing. I never remember all the hideous things you've said to me since January. We don't, we can't pretend. But we should look at where is it coming from, because very often you can trace it back to even one thought that when corrected or seen in the context of God's love for us, then we see, okay, I can let this go. For one thing, saints are made partly through persecution. I'm sorry to say, but it's just true. Jesus said it. Master said it. Master said, for example, in being the leader of a spiritual organization, he says, whatever the leader does do or doesn't do, he is criticized. And that's why he didn't want an organization. He didn't make a comment about whether that had actually come true or not. Anyway, we'll leave that for another time. It's just human nature to blame others for the feelings that we ourselves have. Because someone could have approached us, or to put it another way, they could have approached a saint and you could see that saint not getting mad at all. And we can say, that's how I want to be. But let me do the work that it takes for me to become that way. Another solution is just to meditate. And in meditation, get beneath the anger and the sort of wish to hurt back to the underlying sadness, the pain, the hurt that is the core of that anger, or the cause of that. And then take that hurt and gently offer that to God, just as a child offers to its mother. This hurts, and is there anything you can do to help me with this? We don't want to seek to perfect our human relationships because it's not possible. Swamiji once helped someone by lending him money. And the man said, please give me your address because I want to be sure to send this money back to you so you don't lose your faith in human nature. And Swamiji said, if I had had any faith in human nature, I would have lost it long ago. He said, my faith is in God. I'm giving this to God through you. And if God wishes, he'll give it back to me through you or through someone else. The man didn't give it back, incidentally. So we are safer when we put our trust in something that is deserving of our trust, which is God and God's love for us.